come and gone, and we talked up a storm about our team, about our form and how it could be. But when Monday comes around, the talk around the town is what happened on the weekend in the Footy. Monday nights, we're talking Footy.
We're going to Granny. We're going to Your beauty. Fantastic. Well done, mate. Well done. Yeah! Well done, mate. Oh, very good result.
Yes, they're going to the granny and they've got a Brownlow medalist to boot. Congratulations goes to Shane Woewodin and also to Scotty West of the Western Bulldogs. What a fairy tale story it is. But the big news, of course, is that they've got a grand final to play. And I guess further big news is that on grand final eve, Mike Sheehan has failed to come up after a fitness test, and we've replaced him by a man who is no stranger to grand finals in Dermott, Brereton. You played in 8, you won 5. Welcome to the couch.
Thanks very much, Gerard, and good evening to Malcolm as well.
Hi, Jim.
I'm out of my depth here. I mean, there's a couple of Brownlows here, and the closest I ever been to one too is sitting next to the Big Dipper in '86. And didn't he let me know all about it?
Tell me it's not true. Did you borrow that jacket off Kamal?
I put my long teeth in it a second too.
Now, listen, are you happy about Nick not being here? I mean, you come off the interchange bench. Is this fair, Gerard?
The real story is that everybody's getting sick of Michael being so kind to you, so we've brought the big guns in. What about Shane Woewodin, Dermott? What a story.
Yeah, good winner, wasn't he? I mean, he came from East Fremantle, and I actually saw him play his first game out of night game, and I thought, oh, this kid goes all right. No, I couldn't believe that I think he was rookie first up, was he? Or he took a while to get onto the list. He wasn't taking original draft, and I thought, he's got a bit of go in him. But
my understanding is he actually flew to Melbourne and just said, will you give me a go?
Oh, the old Bruce Dill story. Turned up and give me a game.
Blighty, he's got a grand final to play on the weekend. Have you had an experience as a coach, whether it's going to help, hinder, or does it make an absolute difference?
Well, actually, I've got the full book. The year that I actually won the Brownlow, we played in the grand final against Dermott, Melbourne. It was a day of disasters. I got injured and we lost the game, but I also had Paul Couch in '89.
Yep.
Went through this similar situation that Shane Woewodin's going through now. And once again, Dermot's mob got me by 6 points, and it was difficult. I mean, it was hard for Paul, hard for everyone around the club to actually keep the focus on them, no matter what you say or do. Gavin Wanganeen won it in '93 when Essendon last won. So, I mean, it is possible, but it's a wonderful distraction to get another Brownlow medalist into the club. But the two experiences I've been through haven't been fantastic.
What's it like, though, just quickly on the grand final day, when you've won it, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm trying to remember back here, did Barras bench you for a little while?
No, I actually ran into a guy called Richard Walter in the first 5 minutes. And I just nicked my groin.
Yep.
And I really struggled from there.
You got shoved to a pocket or something?
I tried to. I went off at half time, but I tried to. It was just a bad day.
Yep.
Shane Woewodin will join us later in the evening, as will the two aspirants, the coaches, Neale Daniher and, of course, Kevin Sheedy in his 20th season. But what a difference there's been the way that the players have prepared for this match. The Demons have been all excited and hoopla. I guess they're ahead of schedule by a year or two, and I guess when we have a look at the Bombers, they're very much matter of fact.
Yeah, well, you look at they're entitled to feel that way.
I agree with that.
Yep, they're entitled to feel that way. I mean, if they start out the beginning of this season, they say, let's finish 3rd, 4th, they just say, you will take that. And now suddenly they're at a grand final. I reckon the great thing about it is, though, that over the last 11 weeks, break the season in half, we've now found the two best teams who are playing in the grand final.
Look, I can't remember the last time that happened. We're just looking here at the Essendon team. They're very businesslike. They have been disappointed in the last few years, haven't they?
For sure.
So, I mean, this is part of Sheed's program all year. They haven't really hooped and hollered a lot, have they?
No.
And I think that, look, you'll never know until the day. I don't think what they did after this game, they'll remember when they run out next week anyhow. But I think there is a time to celebrate, there's no doubt about that. You've got to let off some excitement about making a grand final.
Well, does Melbourne celebrate at all tonight?
Look, I think you should. You know, there's a wondrous thing happened to the footy club. And it's terrific for a young lad who I don't think's ever been dropped or missed a game since his time. Just something clicks in the back of my mind.
Never missed one through injury or dropped.
And he's got a nice build-up. So I think we should acknowledge him, and I'm sure Melbourne will.
Dermott, the Bombers haven't sung their song for some weeks now. Do those things help?
I don't know if it helps. I think they've made a stance. After last year, they just made a stance and they put their back foot into the sand and said, this is as far back as we go. Let's not remember back that far, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. And look, it's a real landmark decision, I think, not to sing the song, not to celebrate, so almost droughting themselves in celebration until they can have an almighty one.
Well, I think it originated after Kevin Bartlett, the legend of the game, spoke to them during the week about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Here's Kevin Bartlett on what he said to the Bombers.
But when you've won 21 out of 22 and you're heading into a final series and you haven't achieved anything, I made the suggestion that they shouldn't sing their theme song because it would then enable them to just focus on the next game all the time, because they haven't done anything at the moment to sort of be congratulating each other on achieving anything. Herb Elliott didn't do a lap of honour when he won a heat or a semi-final. You only do a lap of honour when you win the gold medal or the grand final.
Well, I'm certain that they'll make up for lost time if, in fact, they win the flag on Saturday afternoon. Where to now, having a look at the games on the weekend, where to now for the Kangaroos, Derm?
I reckon Kangaroos, you always want to win as many as you can, but I think it was Cameron Schwab made a great call a couple of years ago. You're either actively rebuilding or actively seeking to win the premiership, and I think that goes a long way, that statement. I reckon there's a great opportunity now for the Kangaroos to almost take a step back, and if the record comes down to around the fringe of the 8, so be it, but as long as they make some almighty steps in preparing the team to be back up there in the top 2 or 3 in 5 years' time, because all the good players to get them over the line into a grand final are now down that side of the mountain.
Dennis Pagan, how have you viewed his season? I still maintain that perhaps he's had one of his best years, given that the players may have just run out of a bit of juice.
Well, they've had a lot of injury, North. I mean, I actually wouldn't write them off yet. I'm not certain about that. I think Stevens and Colbert will be like new players for them next year.
He needs midfield play, Colbert, doesn't he?
And he's a very fit lad. I mean, Carey's going to get better. His last 4 or 5 weeks, you'll know he was wounded. Martin, Archer, they had a few problems. I know they're getting older, but I actually don't see them dropping off yet. Dennis Pagan, look, 7 preliminary finals. I mean, no one's done that before. And look, I couldn't see anything else. Don't forget they won the premiership last year. They did a similar thing in 97 after winning in 96. I wouldn't write North off yet. And Dennis, I think he's done a marvellous job.
And can I pose one thing to you quickly? Melbourne's midfield compared to Kangaroos' midfield, can Kangaroos' midfield be anything like Melbourne's this year if they hang on to the same list in the same status?
If you're talking about a Peter Bell and a Brent Harvey who's got genuine pace, Grant's pretty quick. Get a Stevens back who's a hard, solid runner, and he could play on a guy like Woewodin and cut him out of business. That's the way he started footy. And I could see Stevens changing his role. So it might not be the crash and bash North, it might be the subdued play.
And a word on the Blues. How did you see their use of Fraser Brown on the weekend?
Well, obviously they took a punt. I think that he's hurt his groin again, I believe. So, I mean, you go in there knowing that. Obviously, he got through training on their last training session, so everyone was pretty happy about it. You take a punt, you lose.
I thought he needed to play 40 minutes footy, and, well, the statement at the end was bemusing, but how accurate.
Well, you refer, of course, to David Parkin's statement about Fraser Brown in the press conference. Here is the Carlton coach, David Parkin.
We picked him to play 19 minutes, and this is exactly what he played. That's what we thought he was capable of doing. He broke down after 19 minutes and came off.
19 minutes and came off. I think the bottom line was that he got re-injured. There was a bit of a punt, and David was trying to dismiss the question marks over the selection.
It's interesting it wasn't 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, 19 minutes is a really funny number, isn't it? When you think, well, there's that even a night. 15, 18, 20, 19.
Just to sum up, Brereton had a magnificent year, as did Scott Camporelli, who, by the way, didn't poll all that well this evening, but both players in that midfield have once again established what sort of players they are. Ratton, of course, has been there for some years, but Camporelli definitely up a notch this year.
The most interesting thing I thought in the vote was that Craig Bradley was still up there.
Absolutely, yeah, the third string.
And in fact, if you think about it, Camporelli and him play a similar running behind play, run it up the ground role. So they've really shared that position for the year, which was a bit surprising.
And Andrew McKay, Malcolm, you were surprised that he didn't spend more time up the ground as they started when they looked competitive.
Look, I think the form that he was in, leading up to the final series in his whole year, that just for a bit more bite around that midfield, particularly with Kutafuiti's missing, just as a change-up, just a surprise. Gerard and I were at the game, and I think he was there for 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, he ended up on Wellman up on the wing,
I mean, it really just lost some drive.
I reckon in the absence of Sauce, though, he's got to be the general of their back line. And without Sauce down there, I reckon he needed to be there like their Rock of Gibraltar. He just makes every decision right. Every week I watch him, I think, oh, gee, he's good. And then the next week I come back and think, gee, I've underestimated this bloke. He keeps getting better every week.
Yeah. Mike Sheehan's just rung in Derm. He says you're doing a great job impersonating Kamal, but you're going great guns. Time now to look forward to the grand final and the premiership coaches. One of them will be a premiership coach. The grand final coaches will join us after this.
Take 3, the Miracle Mark.
Yes, and this is footage of the 1959 VFL Grand Final. Last time Saturday's combatants slugged it out in the Grand Final. The result, Melbourne won by 37 points in front of a crowd of 103,500 people. And look at them just jam-packed in there. And there's the Premiership Cup. And Ron Barassi was the major goal kicker with 4 goals. We're joined now on the couch, sure, on the armchairs by 2 of the men leading the sides on the weekend. Firstly to you, Neale, congratulations on your first grand final. It's an outstanding performance after coming off a pretty ordinary year last year.
Pretty ordinary year last year, Mel. Remember last year, Mel?
No, I've gotten it quickly.
Yeah, it was pretty ordinary last year, but yeah, we're there, and we've just got to knock these boys off.
And you're up against the super coach, Sheedy. Congratulations, and
thanks,
welcome once again. You're going for your 4th.
Oh, you like to try and win another one? Yeah, they're hard to come by. I mean, probably it's about 7 years since we won before, so the boys only been coaching about 3, so he's got there pretty quickly.
You've always seemed, just reading between the lines, to put 4 grand finals up as the marking point, the level. In fact, I think you wrote a story about it during the year, about that's the true greatness as a coach.
Well, I mean, the coaches that have won them have been around for a long time. You know, it's just a very difficult sort of position, coaching. You don't get many opportunities to get a job, let alone get to grand finals, let alone possibly win them. And, you know, I mean, Tommy Hafey's just, I always idolised Tom, and he got 4, and all of a sudden now Neale's jumped in the road and wants to headbutt me for one. So
is the hardest one the first one, Kev?
Yes, Neale. I'll answer that. Can I just say,
I got slaughtered by 14 goals.
Yeah, it is. This is amazing, isn't it? I mean, it really is the master and the apprentice. And sorry, Neale, I don't mean it that way, but you went through the last one, Kevin, in '93 together. I just want to ask you, Kevin, you're a Bomber supporter. Were you at that 59 grand final?
Yeah, I was at the 59 grand final. I was a lolly boy, and we used to line up at Shepherd Suites in South Yarra and get our appointment to go to the MCG at about 10 o'clock in the morning, and because they had the under-19s reserves.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Would have been 9 o'clock we'd be down there, and we'd have our trays full of lollies and everything, and then we'd go down there and we'd just try and sell out as much as we could and sit down at 2 o'clock with a bit of a pie and sauce and into it. And that's my brother Patrick and I. And I mean, it was really growing up in footy in those days.
Is it, Neale, do you get that feeling of, you know, the Melbourne situation, Melbourne playing Essendon, 2 of the great old clubs? I mean, do you get a real feeling of that? You've obviously warmed to Melbourne. Do you get that feeling in town?
Oh, it's just fantastic for an old club like Melbourne, who were maybe just crumbling a little bit not so long ago. You know, from the point of view of you just can't have grand old clubs like Melbourne going out of the competition, and we've got to keep the Melbourne clubs alive somehow, and part of that is you've got to have some success. And in my short time at Melbourne, I've been coaching Melbourne Footy Club and looking around and hang on, no one's watching us play. So maybe if we can have some success, like Kevin's gracefully built through that and it's got great success with Essendon and people come and watch. We've got to build that sort of club.
Neale, not that Sheeds isn't in charge of a club with young players in it. There's a lot of young players there, but the youth of your side, coming into a grand final, if you've been there before, you can almost feel the expectation, how difficult the day is, and it can make you nervous. Do you reckon it's almost a benefit, the way your guys play, being inexperienced coming in on this day?
I don't know. What was it like in '93, Kev, when we had a young side coming in?
Oh, well, the only thing that stopped us from winning the premiership was you. You weren't available. You went AWOL.
93, we had a young side at Essendon, and they didn't know. They didn't know the expectation. They didn't know this. And our blokes are a little bit the same. You know, there's no baggage. There's all of a sudden we're on a bit of a wave. One of their mates had won a Brownlow. Hang on, what's going on here? You know, back in '93, Gavin Wagoney won a Brownlow, and maybe if you've been around and maybe lost a grand final or done or whatever. The boys that I've been with have won 4 finals out of 5.
Yep.
And you know, well, let's go.
Neale,
just want to see, it's like, I mean, the grand final, I mean, the time goes back by like 40 minutes or so before the game starts. And I know you turn up to the grand final, you go through your same routine, you get up at the same time each morning, suddenly you're stripped at the same time and you look at the clock and they say, no, it's an hour and a half till you play. I mean, how do you put that into a plan for the kids so they don't start playing the game an hour before the game?
It's something you've got to be wary of, and it's something that the whole grand final week you've got to be wary of, because you've got a grand final parade which you never go on before a normal game or a normal other final. And of course you've got quite a number of functions. I mean, we've all got a sort of like a half a dozen, 8, 10 players here tonight. So it's a different week. It definitely is a different week, and the teams that can handle it do okay, and the teams with as soon as the medal was announced, our boys went bang straight home. So, which I just straight up and out, you know.
Neale, you're up against it. Certainly, according to the bookmakers, they've got you at pretty long odds at $4.50, courtesy of Gerard Daffy up at centre bet. And Sheeds, well, you're almost certainties according to those figures. Are you pleased that? Does it help you that Shane Woewodin, a member of the opposition, has won the Brownlow?
Oh, I think it just tells you how good a player he's been all year. Really reminds you. And I mean, we've been favourites every match this year, so it doesn't matter from my point of view. I mean, it's only a person's or people's opinions. But in Melbourne's case, they just played very, very well. You know, back in '93, I think we're a better side than the side that we beat at Carlton. You know, I didn't think Carlton had a great side in that year. I think we were very, very lucky to actually win that premiership.
And from all reports, you've changed your training tactics over the years, and you gave the blokes a fair belting last week when you had the weekend off. We got some exclusive vision here of you training the fellows, and from all reports, it was one of the hardest sessions last Friday when you just prior to the weekend off that you ever given the players.
Well, we actually had to. We weren't allowed to play a practice match. There's a rule there that says that it's up to the opinion of the general manager of footy, and I don't like that rule at all, because it's only one person's opinion in that situation. I mean, Andrew Dimitro's only been in the job probably 2 months. But anyway, we worked around that, and we felt that, you know, like probably if you said anything, we actually trained the way we used to back in the 80s, to be honest.
Right, exactly.
And you asked for a camera to be there. Why is that? You told the players?
I've sat and watched the camera to check every player and their attitude to training, and I enjoy that, and I think sometimes it's good to keep a history of where footy is in training. I don't think enough clubs have said this is what training was in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s or the 90s.
Wasn't for motivation, so everybody knew they were on record?
No, it's just to make sure that, A, a historical point, B, I want to have a look myself to see, you know, who was training well, because I said to them, look, you're all on the camera today, and good luck to you, because I'm going to sit and watch it, and if you don't train well, you're not playing.
Kevin, you're training Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so your last session is Friday, and Neale, yours is actually on Thursday. So you can go to each other's training sessions. It's a bit unusual.
Have I got an invite, Kev?
We're actually charging you coming through the game.
I'll send my old man Jim.
We'll let him in for nothing.
I mean, in footy, you're doing a slightly different program, but you're both there.
Well, we probably, in our situation, we did it very similar to yours. We trained Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We just felt that we enjoyed the night on, night off, night on, night off. We come back after the parade, which you can lose focus, and we just bang straight out to training after the parade.
Neale, in the makeup of the Melbourne team, Farmer's only going to play up forward. He needs to kick goals for you to win. Schwartz, probably the way he plays, is only ever going to hang home up forward. Can you win the game if Neitz plays back? Can you kick a big enough score if David Neitz plays in the back line?
What do you want to play him back for, John?
Well, he's played on Lloydie before.
Yeah. Oh, well.
There's David Schwartz. He's obviously going to be a significant problem for you, Kevin, on the weekend.
It's a big win, wasn't it?
And David Neitz. You wouldn't experiment now, would you, Neale?
I wouldn't have thought so. Where do you reckon he'll play, Kev?
I reckon he'll play forward, Neale.
I reckon he'll play forward too, Kev.
I just think that I've just got a feeling the grand final is going to be. You've both won 10 out of 11, both the form sides. That hasn't happened for a long time. We're both the two real
doesn't
form
mean
sides.
much. The next one's going to mean a
No,
fair bit,
I understand that. But why wouldn't you go with what you've been doing for the majority of the time? I mean, you've all got your little tricks you can do if it's not working for you on the day, isn't it? Really.
Did you
look, I was going to flood the back line, but Mel, you said to me, I'm not allowed to do
don't do it.
I'm not allowed to do it.
No, you shouldn't do it either.
What about
did you change your teams in the last week or two? Yes or no?
The answer to that's yes, but that was mainly because of injuries, not so much structure.
We got a lot of injuries. You got a lot of injuries.
What about Lloyd, Lucas and Hurd? Three pretty good players, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty good players. Are they injured?
No, and then they're going to be there on the day too.
Actually, polled very well in the middle, didn't he, Matthew? With his
yes, he did actually, because not many full forwards poll well. Like, I mean, 100 goals. He what?
He's on a full forward.
Well, he's up there around there.
And of course, we just watched Lucas and now Hurd. He's right, and all problems. She's a lot of people around here, Kevin.
I know. I'm trying to work out where he plays now.
I forgot the question anyhow, so it doesn't really matter anymore.
Just on Scotty Lucas to bring some sort of sanity back, Malcolm. You are working a treat at the moment. He's an unusual type. He gets as many goals as a rover, picking crumbs off the pack. He got a couple on the weekend as he does, taking towering marks for a bloke that's 6'5" in the old language. He's got unique capacities.
Look, he's a player that he's actually quite good in a number of areas. We've played him on the wing sometimes. We've played him as a ruckman, as a mobile ruckman at times. You know, he's just a very good player with a great deal of flexibility in his game, and that's been a benefit for us.
Actually, Neale, and you guys know the game so much more, but Lucas is the one who really stands out like a sore thumb, because the Essendon champions in their forward line are going to get your gun backman. And Lucas is the one who appears to me at this stage is going to be tough for your back line to man up on. Hence, maybe that's why I was saying maybe Neitz might have to go down there or whatever. But someone like Gergich or even Phoebe might be called out of his height range to play on Lucas.
You played Simons down there, haven't you, Neale?
Simmons
Simmons or Simons?
Yeah, Simmons.
Just checking.
Yeah, Simmons can play back there. And, we got a few options. Play back there. They got a great forward line. We just don't want it down there too often.
Yeah.
Do you put them all down there and wait for it to get down there?
Do you?
Yeah. Do you work like hell to make sure it doesn't?
But, I mean, the strength is in your midfield. Like, I mean, Wowie, who won it tonight, Phoebe when he plays forward or the flank, and Leoncelli, these types of blokes, if you just try and have a shootout in the centre first, their back line's, their forward line's got a lot of potential. Do you try and seize it up until there's a time you think your midfield can overrun the opposition?
No, I think we'll just flood.
Yeah, put them all down there.
And I think it might be raining outside, so if there's going to be some flooding, we better just shore up our defences. We'll take a break and be back with more questions from Malcolm and the boys to the youth coaches. And the Brownlow medalist for the year 2000, Shane Woewodin, joins us here amid scenes of great celebration at Crown Palladium, and they're just about all Melbourne people. Shane, congratulations. What a year you've had.
Yeah, thanks, Gerard. It's it's been an exciting year, and the cap off tonight is such a huge honour and thrill, and yeah, so excited.
And a thrilling count it was. I saw you put your head on your girlfriend or your wife's shoulder there when the Bulldogs vote was to be called out. I guess when Scotty West got the one, you knew you'd grabbed it. Yeah, well, at least I knew it was probably going to be a tie then, and I didn't really think I'd poll a vote in the last game. So got one and got in front. Just couldn't believe it. Malcolm Blight started his Brownlow medalist on the bench in a grand final, and Neale Daniher says he's starting to think about the same sort of stuff.
Yeah,
let's hope not anyway.
No, I can tell you, Shane, it wasn't a great result, so I'm sure it won't happen to you. Just, I mean, your form, fitness, just three questions on your history. From East Fremantle, moved over to Melbourne. You haven't missed a game yet, is that right? Am I right with that? 94 this week, I think, yeah. Yeah, amazing, isn't it, for a young bloke? Yeah. And just your development, it's just been like workman like last year, Neale, would you say? Got consistent?
Last year, I forgot about last year, Mal. But he's been fantastic this year, and I think the leadership role that he's taken on this year has really helped his form with David Neitz, Swarter, Liam Shelley and Woewodin. They're our leadership group, and Shane's really stepped up, and I think that's really helped him to, you know, we've had some great leaders around our club with Toddy Viney was fantastic, and Toddy's been a great mentor for Shane, and Gary Lyon before that, but to step up, they've gone, and he said, well, I'm going to step up, and I think that's helped him this year.
Yeah, one thing I was going to raise with Blighty, when you stood up on stage earlier tonight, there was a sea of giants, you know, Mossy and Tomo and all that. They were all 6'6" ruckmen, and then Blighty's in the middle, and then they all continued on the ruckman. But now in this modern era, we've got blokes your size. Not that he's small, but the modern game is producing more Brownlow medalists who aren't ruckmen, as the ball just seems to be moving around and pinging around a little bit more. So these blokes who get to it more.
A lot of ruckmen hung back around centre half forward and took a few easy marks. I mean, I think that I remember back in '84, 7 of the first 10 Brownlow medal votes were ruckman in 1984. Yeah. That's unbelievable. I mean, Michael Byrne, Torbett, Roger Madden, David Cloak, and Peter Moore. Yeah. I mean, Robert Flower, what were you doing there, Robert? You know, like, it's quite amazing.
Neale, you classified your midfield once as a group of blue-collar workers, just real hard workers. You're going to have to reclassify them now?
Really stuffed that up.
You're going to have to pay them a little bit more, maybe like the white-collar workers.
But I think you've got salary cap problems with Melbourne.
Oh, haven't they?
Come on, boys, leave that alone.
Now, listen, what about, are you feeling nervous about sitting next to one of the dirtiest players ever to play the game? just winning a Brownlow medalist and it's not tinted already?
Nah, it's a great honour. It's a great man.
You sure?
Yeah, it's a huge honour.
And he's got you on the other side.
He's got Genghis Khan's uniform on. Look at it. Straight out of Mongolia.
Great style.
Well, we've got to swing it back to footy a little bit. The boy who was on there, Liam Shelley, his hands below his knees. He's fantastic, Neale, that the way he can actually clean hand the ball out of the middle of the ground. He's been brilliant for you as well.
He has been brilliant, and our midfield has been great. Stephen Powell's come to our club, has been great. Guy Rigoni, Adam Uze, Anthony McDonald, his brother James McDonald. You know, we've had a number of players go through there. But all the same, Essendon, because their foreline's so good, a little bit their midfield has been forgotten, and that happens sometimes in footy, and a little bit unheralded, the Essendon midfield, and we've got to come up against that, and our boys have got to come up against that. And they're a little bit in the shadow because there's Hurd and Lloyd and Lucas and McCurry and Long, etc. Essendon have got a very good midfield.
Yeah, just following that up, Shane, just with Jeff White, who's had a terrific year, now that shin problem's gone, isn't he? He's really come good. Him and John Barnes, when you're in the middle, whose hand are you going to read as we look at the midfield here? Here's Jeff White. He's a wonderful leaping ruckman, isn't he? He gives you a crack at it, doesn't he?
Both him and Troy Simmons.
Yeah.
Both great tap ruckmen, and they've just given us first use of the ball all year, and such exciting players too, and such great leaps. But they've been awesome all year.
That's two from Fremantle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, quite good. Jeff White. Yeah. Just Shane. There's a lot of people in football, or I should say, some people in football don't rate ruckman as highly as others. When you're out there in the midfield and you want an easy kick, are you good mates with Jeff White?
Yeah, great mate.
Yeah. I reckon you get if you're on ball, you've got to be the best mate of all time to the ruckman, and that's right.
Feed off him.
Yeah.
Just on John Barnes, it would be a fantastic way for him to finish his career. It'd be great for Jeff White to be involved, but it's going to be a pivotal battle. And I mean, Barnes has been to the well a few times and never had a proper drink.
Well, it's been a great story for us. I mean, you know, he's been sacked at Geelong, left to go in the draft at 30 years of age, and he's played every game this year and been, you know, he's probably the most experienced grand finals player that's at Essendon because he played in a number with Malcolm. So, you know, along with perhaps, you know, probably Darren Buick or Michael Long, very, very experienced finals player.
He's a pretty good athlete. How many years has he got left?
Well, I'd say at least a couple.
Yeah.
Do you think that Brad Green is going to start on the ground, Shoes?
Brad Green, I'll tell you what, he played at Essendon before Melbourne drafted him. And
Excellent developing, Kev. Terry reckons he's developing.
Thanks very much. It's really pleasing.
They've got some great youngsters.
It's a pity you never lost your first 2 draft choices. We both might have missed him.
The youngsters are going to play an important role, though, Neil. You've got a pretty young team. She's has got some great youngsters as well. Is it a different game? Everyone says it's not a different game, but that can't be any further from the truth, surely.
Oh, look, yeah, our young blokes have been great, and Ramanauskas, he'll have a big role to play, and Essendon have got some good youngsters, and they're the wild cards, aren't they? They're the wild cards in it. And
young people.
Yeah, they're the wild cards.
Now, Shane, Brownlow medalist now. Well, have you had a chance to think about what you're going to do at the week, or are you going to wait for the Neale to lead you through it, exactly what you're going to do?
No, I haven't been told much about it during the week. I probably know there's a couple of compulsory functions or events you have to attend to, but you know, obviously very elated with the win, but we've got a big job to do now.
Yeah.
You know, come Saturday, that's my main focus.
Can I help draw up your weekly?
Well, just ask Neale. This is really. Have you thought of perhaps a Jim Steins walking through Shane, what he got exposed to?
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
there's no doubt. But I don't think Jimmy won it in a grand final week.
Sure.
So it's totally different, you know. When did you win one, Mel?
In the grand final week. Yeah, and also
I'll have
coach
a talk to Jimmy and I'll have a talk to you after.
I was just saying to the boys, also coach one in a grand final week.
Yeah.
But don't talk to me because the result was terrible both times.
Yeah, so...
But just going on from that, I mean, your ideal... Who was your idol as a player when you first started off?
Growing up as a kid, it was Wayne Johnson. It was from Carlton. I was a big Carlton fan as a kid. And, you know, just a rugged midfielder, just had a crack at it. And
a sensational finals player too.
Yeah.
Oh, so beautiful at taking the ball out of the middle. You'd like to do that on the weekend, I reckon. Tell us just quickly, from the management side of things, I mean, obviously you have your management who looks after your affairs and that. Just give us an idea, have they made contact with you yet since you've won it a few minutes ago?
Well, I've spoken to the manager. He's here in the building, so, and just a general chat.
And are they giving you advice or anything like that yet?
Oh, no, they're just going to help me out. You know, whatever I need and things I need, they can, you know, they'll be happy to help me out in that way.
I just wondered in the modern day how quickly the wheels turn for that type of thing, whether they're onto it yet.
Sheeds, you've had a pretty lucky...
I've never ever had that problem.
None at all.
I never ever thought I'd ever...
Hollywood never knocked on the door?
Sheeds, you've had a great year. You've had a pretty lucky year, and the luck evidently continued on as you walked down the race from the coach's box on the weekend. You picked up $5 and you hand-delivered it to some supporter.
I was looking for a kid to give it to, but I just picked up $5 on walking down the stairs because they brought the seats in, and it's a little bit thinner to walk down there, and you just have to watch your step. And I saw $5, and I thought, well, when I was 10, I'd never leave it, so I thought, well, why should I leave it when I'm 53?
Why would you give it away, though?
Well, it wasn't mine.
And Mark Harvey...
It wasn't mine anyway.
Must be a fair contract now, Kevin.
Mark Harvey, would you put the Kevin Sheedy stamp of approval on the way he prepares for games when he goes to watch the opposition clubs? We've got him here. He's at one of the finals. I think it was the Geelong-Hawthorn game, and, geez, he's really studying it hard. There on the
race
screen.
He's got the toter.
He's watching the races, is he? That's halves. I mean, I like a guy. Look, one thing he can do, he can concentrate on a lot of things at one time. He's better than me. And he's a terrific support coach. I mean, he's one of the best I've ever had.
And just quick, how far is Harves off coaching senior AFL?
Well, look, he's very close. I mean, I'd say if he didn't want to do it this year, at least within 2.
Sheeds, I get the feeling that if by chance you were upset that it would almost be a proud moment for you if Neale Daniher took the grand final away from him.
You got to be kidding.
He's cost me 81 and 82 because he's pulled the pin.
He owes you.
Something sore knee, an ulcer or something, but you know, like we won 16 wins in 81 and 2. Won the best and fairest, made him captain, never turned up to be captain. He owes me.
Neale, you owe him.
I do, yes, but well.
We'll leave that one alone, eh?
Yeah, we'll leave that one alone.
Fellas, thanks for your company. You've been fantastic company all throughout the season and taking it in the right spirit tonight. Good luck on the weekend. It should be a great game.
Thanks a lot.
Neale Daniher and Kevin Sheedy, and to you, Shane. You're not going to have too many bigger nights in your footy career, but there is one on Saturday that could turn out to be that one pretty quickly. Well done on tonight.
Thanks, Jared.
It's a great footy story, and we're all proud of you. Fantastic performance.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Shane Woewodin, Kevin Sheedy and Neale Daniher, our special guests here on our grand final, pre-grand final edition of Talking Footy. We'll have more after this.
Back. A winning score, so put your best option on him right from the word go.
And are your tactics with Hardwick and Farmer definite also? Is he there to unsettle him?
As long as he stops kicking goals, by the grand final day, you don't care how they do it. That's Blighty.
Oh, hang on, no. Leave me alone.
Well, he said to ask you, Blighty.
No. Well, no, I think you're right. We've just got to stop Farmer from kicking goals. He's the genuine one that can kick 7, I agree with that. Can I just ask you something? Just had a thought. Shane Woewodin, the new Brownlow medalist, did he make the All-Australian team that you...
Oh, that's what Sheeds was up to. We were going to confess. In fact, it's the first time that the Brownlow medalist has not made the All-Australian.
Now, you did also say, most definitely, just missed the bench, you told me.
In fact, it was very much a split decision. Did he make your team?
No, he didn't actually. I had him in a similar position.
All the argument centred very much on Andrew Uze at the end of the count. But I think that the bottom line there was that he played so well, Uze, in the final 4 or 5 matches that people had just forgotten how well Woewodin had played.
Interesting
early
to note too that all the teams who've had the Demons in the last month, like you get Blakey will always go to the #1 attacking midfielder on the opposition. He went to Uze last weekend. So whether that's identified at this particular point in time, most teams are identifying Uze as the danger man in the middle.
Well, who would you put on Adam Uze, to correct myself?
Gee, if Mark Johnson was up and running, I reckon he'd be McGo. But she's wide open from there.
Ramanauskas, you'd think he'd get one of them.
Yeah. But Barnard may start on the bench, but I've seen Barnard come on and do some reasonable jobs. Heffernan's the other one that may be that type of player for him.
I forgot him. I reckon he's your guy.
Yeah.
Can I just get a definitive answer for you? Where does Dustin Fletcher sit in the pecking order at Essendon? Is he their most important player, or is he one under Lloyd or one under Hurd?
I think you've put that in about right order. I think Hurd is the impetus, Lloyd's the finisher, and Fletcher sets it up for him.
I reckon when all chips are down, if there's one Essendon player, if they're pressured on the weekend, they're really pushed to the limit, one player that's got to get up and play good footy to give them the start to get over the line, it's Hurd.
Have we got... has there been a better recruit than Anthony Ingerson over the journey for a player so unheralded to be so good over 7 years?
I reckon Melbourne is short one more Anthony Ingerson down the back line. Nicholson's been great and he's done a good job for them, but I reckon he's going to struggle to cover some of the Essendon forwards. They'll exploit him, but Ingerson does everything.
You're confident they're going to play Neitz down there, aren't you?
I'm not confident, but I just think in the opening half...
It's been good, Walsh.
Oh, he's been super, hasn't he? And he gives them run. I mean, even their guys, Collins, Ward, these guys, they give them so much run. Even they're not tight defender players, and they can get scores kicked on them. And the thing is, I reckon if they go 50-50 out of the middle for the first half until the midfield of Essendon fatigues, I reckon the Bombers forward line can set up a good lead. And I just worry that without the big fella Neitz down there looking after something when it's hot early, I reckon they could get blown out of the water. But they'll come home strong in the midfield.
How did you read the body language of Kevin Sheedy and Neale Daniher?
Oh, it was terrific. I mean, it must be marvellous for Sheeds. I mean, you know, there's the guy that he made captain of his club and unfortunately had a bad knee injury. I reckon that was just marvellous.
Blighty, we've got to go. We're getting the major wind-up, the biggest wind-up we've had all season. We'll be back after this.
And I saw it too.
point, the All-Australian selectors have made their choices, but it's up to you to decide who is the Mark of the Year.
For your chance to win $20,000, who do you think should win the Channel 7 AFL Mark of the Year? Vote now for the mark you think is the best. The mark that receives the most votes will be awarded the Mark of the Year. Call 1902 555 777. Lines close at the end of three-quarter time in the grand final. Mark A, Tony Modra. Mark B, Dustin Fletcher. Mark C, Stephen Coops. Mark D, Jeff Farmer. Mark E, Matthew Robran. Good luck.
And to help you out, here's a couple of blokes that took some great marks themselves. So, Dermy, who do you reckon?
Well, I like the blokes who, I suppose the ones when they get the clean run at the back, it's a little bit easier. So I reckon Jeff Farmer being half put off his balance as he jumps, he's mine.
Really? I go completely opposite. I love blokes that spring up and get perfectly high, and I had to do that just for Mick Sheehan. I disagree entirely, right? And I like Fletcher because...
I find that staggering.
Oh, really? Do you?
Well,
I love the height ones, the ones that are really up there. Fletcher.
The high ones.
The high ones.
Not surprising. Let's have a look at what's going to make headlines tomorrow, other than the obvious Shane Woewodin winning the Brownlow medal. Darren Buick's been put under the pump, and he's been given an ultimatum by Kevin Sheedy. And the other big story there from the Herald Sun is that Mike Sheehan has failed a fitness test in the age. Kevin Sheedy, well, Buick's on notice once again. And why the Demons have the form to win, somebody's pushing them up for the victory. And in the Australian, grab your seat for AFL's crazy week, and that certainly it is, and it's started and continued on that trend here this evening. Young Demons surprised Daniher. Maybe, fellas, they are a couple of years ahead of his schedule.
Oh, absolutely. As I said, they probably would have taken fourth spot this year and thought this is a progressive step, but it's a bonus. But they're not without a chance.
No, they're not without a chance. I just think they were fourth 2 years ago. Most of this side's been there before. They've had that bitter taste that I reckon most sides generally need.
Well, fellas, appreciate you joining us here, Dermy, for filling in for Mike Sheehan, but it is going to be a great week. Good luck to the combatants. Here's a taste for Melbourne supporters, the Demons, singing their song. Well done to Shane Woewodin.